The Real Deal, your source for spoiler-free movie reviews. I'm Brandon Macy.
I'm Connor Brennan.
And I'm Nathaniel Ahart.
Tonight on the show, we are critiquing Shazam, another superhero film. Shocker. This has been a big year for superhero films.
So far,
it's a superhero comedy based on the DC character Shazam, who has been around for almost 80 years. Shazam has been around for almost 80 years. And they're just now making a superhero film dedicated to him. So let's take a sneak peek at this goofy Superman parody in the trailer.
Daily Bats, I choose you as champion. Say my name so my powers will become yours. Shazam.
Wait, for real?
Say it, okay? Say my name.
If you think the competition between Marvel and DC is intense, you should know that this competition has existed for decades. So much that, do you guys know what the original name for Shazam was?
Captain Marvel?
Yeah.
Captain Marvel. How about that? You know, so what do you imagine the conflict between Marvel and DC over the name Captain Marvel?
Well, originally it was owned by like Fawcett Comics, right? And then DC like bought them because they sued them because like, oh, this is a Superman ripoff. And then I think at that point like they couldn't name him Captain Marvel because Captain Marvel already had their Captain Marvel. Right, so they're just like Shazam.
So the name Shazam is trademarked by DC, but Captain Marvel technically belongs to Marvel.
Yes.
All right, so gentlemen, what did you think of Shazam?
It was great. I really, really liked it. And I knew, and remember when I said, this one's going to be good, Brandon. I said that. And, you know, and I didn't quite love it, but at the same time, I didn't have to. It was just a really great character film. It had a lot of heart. You know, I really, really enjoyed it.
It was simply awesome, honestly. Like, I couldn't stop laughing all the way through, and I don't know, it felt fresh for a superhero film. Like, it was from a kid's perspective.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a very important thing to bring up. Kids are always big into superheroes. I went into the theater with low expectations, and I left with a smile on my face. So
there you go.
There you go. Shazam was good. It wasn't perfect, but it was a good film. This really isn't like other superhero films that we're used to seeing, like with Marvel. Like Marvel films, there are some comedic aspects here and there, but they aren't technically labeled comedies.
Well,
I think
a few of them, like the Guardians and Spider-Man: Homecoming.
All right, there's a few exceptions, but this one, you can tell that they are intending on making this a comedy.
Absolutely.
Shazam is definitely a superhero comedy, and it was funny. I was laughing throughout the whole thing.
But they do have some really great dramatic moments that really add like great layers of character, you know. And I always respect that in a comedy.
Yeah, and from a kid's perspective, like, I mean, it wasn't like a Spider-Man: Homecoming where he's already a superhero and he's getting into the world. Like he's going in like it's all new for him.
Exactly.
Yeah, there are a few. There's a good combination of films where the superhero isn't the hero, and a few where he's already the hero. Like Black Panther is a film where he's already the Black Panther.
Exactly.
Well, you know, Shazam is one of those films where he becomes Shazam.
But also he's in a different body.
Right? I mean, there's origin movies, and then there's superhero films that aren't origin movies. Like Marvel hasn't always introduced characters with reboots, like the Incredible Hulk. I mean, that was a brief sum up in the beginning, and then he's just the Hulk for the rest of the film.
Yep. Now, Shazam is a film where you can expect to see a lot of special effects. So how well did DC pull it off? Let's talk about that right now in our review of the production design. So, first thing we got to bring up is the CGI. There's always a ton of CGI in every superhero film that we talk about, from Marvel to DC. It's pretty much inevitable. So, what do you think of the CGI?
Better than the other DC films.
Yeah, much better. Probably because there was much less of it. Like, I imagine the budget for this must have been much smaller.
It was like 80 million, I think, if I remember correctly.
About 80 to 100 million, I think, is what it said on Wikipedia.
Okay.
Of course, I'm citing Wikipedia. People are going to give me a bunch of crap for that.
Yeah, well.
I liked it. I thought the Seven Deadly Sins.
Well, they probably look the worst, yeah.
They did not impress me as much. So yeah, the Seven Deadly Sins, I'm gonna put an X on the CGI for that. But everything else looks really good. Shazam flying was that was a major thing throughout the film, and then when we finally see him, he did it with ease. It looked pretty good.
Yeah, I like how they use the lightning too. Like it looked very realistic for that.
Lightning is like his main superpower. He's like Emperor Palpatine. Unlimited power.
Yes. Oh, and also, can we take a moment to appreciate that Shazam was fighting the villain in a populated area without mindlessly smashing him into buildings?
Yeah. Is that a jab at the Incredible Hulk?
No, Man of Steel.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And not killing thousands of people.
And not killing thousands of people. That's an important thing. You know, there's a superhero cliche where there's the big fight between the hero and the villain. They're destroying everything. You think people aren't getting hurt?
Well, Mark Kermode actually referred to that as weightless destruction. Buildings and vehicles are smashed around with no reference given to the people who must be inside.
I will give this appreciation where appreciation is due. There was a lot of good continuity between the people and the hero. I'm not sure if continuity is the right word I'm looking for, but you guys know what I'm talking about. They actually care about the people in this film.
And, and there's some really heartfelt moments there too.
Yeah.
And the hero has a good relationship with the people.
Yeah,
too.
think after Civil War, people like filmmakers just stopped going for the, destroying a whole city finale of superhero films.
I respect that. Yeah.
I thought the cinematography in this film looked really good too. I don't really have a lot of notes there.
No, it was all right.
Well, no, I mean a lot of it seemed pretty, was in close up and. It was nothing too special, but
I will point out on that point that David Sandberg, right? There were a couple shots where you could really tell like he was from a horror background.
Yes, David Sandberg.
It looked really, really good.
He directed Annabelle Creation, so he comes from a horror background.
And
so
Lights Out,
interesting choice to have him direct a superhero comedy. That's like a polar opposite of Annabelle.
But it worked. Yeah, somehow.
I don't know how, but it worked.
I've never seen any of Sandberg's films, but of
Lights
course,
Out was really good.
With James Wan, I did watch Saw before Aquaman, so I could see some horror roots in Aquaman.
Sure.
The editing I thought looked really good, especially the transition from Kid to Shazam. Like like we saw in the trailer, he jumps. All he has to do is say Shazam, and then he becomes this new persona, a new body, which is something we don't see a lot in superhero films.
Well,
a lot of the times they just wear a costume.
Well, you guys know the movie Big?
Big
Marshall?
I haven't seen it still, sadly.
Really good.
Me being a lover of classic cinema.
Yeah, no, it's a great Tom Hanks performance, but basically it's like Big if Big were Superman. And that's a really interesting concept.
And I wonder if anyone catch the reference where like him and the
the
villain are on the
reference.
giant keyboard and
Oh yeah, without spoiling it, there is very famous movie reference there that involves a keyboard between Shazam and the villain, who we will talk about later.
Yeah.
But we need to take a short break, and I will be right back with our review of the screenplay of Shazam. Don't go away.
We believe in patriotism. We believe in our country. For 100 years, veterans have been impacting our nation through the American Legion. Learn more at legion.org/webelieve.
It's back and better than ever. One student can win up to $25 in cash. All on Oswego's favorite game show, Spin to Win! Every Sunday night at 9, only on WTOP 10 TV.
Welcome back to The Real Deal. We're critiquing Shazam this evening, and now it's time to talk about the script, the foundation of any film, let alone a superhero film. So, this is our review of the screenplay of Shazam. So, the impression that I got from watching this picture was this is a satire of superhero films.
Yeah.
They poked fun at a lot of the superhero cliches, and they rolled with it. And I think it worked really well. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's a satire in some ways. Like, I don't know, like the way Freddy and Billy keep testing out the type of powers Billy has.
So,
And,
yeah, like apparently Shazam has all these powers that you'd expect, like the Flash of Superman, immunity to bullets.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like Deadpool, but for kids. But not as,
and
fourth wall breaking or anything like that, right?
None of the adult humor.
Exactly.
I just
For
wasn't,
kids.
I just wasn't expecting you to compare Shazam to Deadpool.
There's like a slight comparison.
I mean-
but now that you bring it up, I definitely see it.
Well, I still think it's more in line with Spider-Man: Homecoming. Like, it's this kid entering the world of superheroes, becoming one himself, but he has to learn all the ropes.
Exactly.
And he's taught by a kid, a regular kid who knows
kid.
everything about the genre.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
and of course, like there's the tropes like threatening, the hero's family or closest friends, to get them to come out, or I don't know, taking over the world. Like how the kids can always recognize a supervillain, like just because the villain has that thing in his eyeball.
And that's the thing, like, the villain was, like, pretty weak, and they tried to, like, make you sympathize with him, right? But it just didn't really play off well for me. Like, there were certain things he did, I was like, that just seems too extreme.
This was definitely a flawed villain, and I get that they were trying to, make him a stereotypical villain. We got a scar in his eye, so you're like, okay, that guy's the villain.
Yeah, but I think maybe there should have been a scene where Billy tries to talk with the villain, and because they have similar roots. Billy doesn't have like an abusive family, of course, or didn't have one, but they were both kids without hope, and Billy was the one who was unselfish at first because he has to take a bit of a hard road later on. But anyway.
This is definitely a character piece more than anything. Billy is the main character. Shazam is his alter ego, and these guys, they have similar personalities, but also they're wildly different in a sense.
No, I think it really did a great job of like making you feel for like everybody in the family for the most part, like in the Foster family. There were only a couple of weak links here and there, but they usually I remember they gave most of them like really good character moments, and I really respect that.
Yeah, the Foster kids were pretty likable for the most part.
I think most of them were likable. They all have wildly different personalities.
Yeah.
Some were nice, some were mean, some were just there for no reason.
Yeah, of course the bullies, they're an old stereotype.
Yeah.
But honestly, with the villain, though, I keep thinking that's something else DC has to work on.
That's true.
I mean, Marvel's been getting better with its villains for the most part, but DC still has to catch up. I mean, King Orm was fine, I guess, but they only give him any real weakness near the end, and he pretty much screams all the time.
Was that the Aquaman one?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I didn't even remember.
Yeah, they're brothers and.
Yeah. That's right.
I don't know if you guys have read the comics, but
I haven't actually.
the first issue of Shazam, when it was called Captain Marvel, came out in 1939.
Wow.
that tells you how long comic books have been around.
Because what, Superman was like 37, right?
No, 38.
38.
Batman, Batman was
So
also
this one,
39.
yeah, so it's kind of a
so-
ripoff of Superman. Well, not a ripoff, but kind of a play off of a Superman. So how do you
Absolutely.
think Shazam compares to Superman? Who's more powerful?
Probably Superman.
Superman
Yeah.
definitely, but Shazam, like, I mean, he's strong himself, of course.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that Superman's all powerful, and Shazam is all powerful too. But at least Shazam never died at one point in his
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So after the break, we're going to talk about this relatively unknown cast and how they performed. We'll be right back.
Pretty good today. Pretty good.
Yeah, I thought he called a pretty fair game.
Come on, man, that was a weak call. Yeah, man, that ref is totally soft.
All right, crew, let's get started. Sure.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
Welcome back to The Real Deal. We're critiquing Shazam tonight. For the most part, a lot of this cast is relatively unknown. Even Zachary Levi is probably considered a B-list actor. So we are going to analyze the way they brought their characters to life in our review of their performances. All right, so let's talk about Zachary Levi. Would you say he's a B-list actor?
I mean, he hasn't been in much, right?
I haven't even heard of him until this film, so.
Well, he was in the Thor movies, the last couple as Fandral.
He's been in some stuff before.
And Chuck.
He was?
probably-
He was in
yeah.
Thor, yeah. I think
Yeah.
he was in Thor Ragnarok as one of the minor characters.
Well, hardly any credence was given to the Warriors 3, so don't blame me for not
No,
noticing.
that's fine. That's fine. I didn't know either, but then I watched it again. I was like, oh yeah, that's.
But that's why I say he's relatively unknown. Like, people know him, but he's not a big actor like Tom Hanks.
Well,
you
he
know what I'm
will
saying?
be after this. I really think he's so great in this role, and he really he brings that childlike sense of wonder that you need to play
Yeah, I
Shazam.
mean, he
right?
has to play a child in an adult's body.
Yeah.
So
And also Jack Dylan Grazer, like he steals the show a lot of the time. He's so funny.
Yeah,
you know?
Jack Dylan Grazer plays as the child who trains Billy /
Freddy,
Shazam.
yeah.
Freddy, yeah.
His name is Freddy. Asher Angel, a child actor I've never heard of. He plays as Billy's human form, his child
human,
self.
Yeah, child
his
self.
I
That's
shouldn't
more
say human.
appropriate.
Child
Yeah.
self is the
That's
best
more
term to
appropriate, yeah.
We also have the foster children played by Faith Herman, Grace Fulton, Ian Chen, and Jovan Armand. a lot of them had a wide variety of performances.
Yes, I mean, I thought that they definitely brought a lot of heart to the movie, especially the little girl. Was her name Faith Herman? She was so adorable. I loved every scene she was in.
She is so sweet.
Yeah.
I will say the chubby character played by Jovan Armand. I felt like his character.
Yeah, Pedro.
I feel like his character was kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, he was. He was like the one with the least development, I think.
I mean, yeah, he was. He's not the nicest character, but he didn't really serve much to the story.
No, not at all. But also, Mark Strong, I do want to say, despite the fact that he played kind of a stereotypical villain, you know, he does a decent job.
I mean, he's okay, but honestly, I wouldn't say he's much better than Mads Mikkelsen and Doctor Strange.
No, I would agree with that. Yeah.
He looks like Lex Luthor. Do you think they did that on purpose?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think that's how he looks in the comics, because I saw like an image from the comics. And
well, Shazam is also based off of Superman, and Superman's main rival is Lex Luthor.
Okay,
so
fair point.
maybe they did that on purpose. Maybe they wanted to have a bald character and give him a scar to make him stand out at least a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Because this is essentially a parody of Superman.
Yeah, in a way.
Well, sort of. Well, not just Superman, but superhero films in general.
True.
Like,
yes.
I mean, they take stabs at Batman as well.
Yeah. And you like to talk about Spider-Man, how this compares to a Spider-Man Homecoming as well.
Yeah, no, it definitely feels a lot more like Spider-Man than it would like, let's say, Superman, right?
Yeah, but in this film, like, there's more real, like, there's more of an impact on the main character with what happens. Like, in Homecoming, the most impactful thing that happens to Peter is losing the suit. And then being threatened by Adrian Toomes, the Vulture. God, I wish, now that I think about it, I wish we had Michael Keaton in this as the villain.
Michael Keaton.
He would have been a better villain than in Dumbo.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think that's tough to say. Michael Keaton, he's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, he really is.
Oh, that's not a bad thing necessarily.
Well, no, but it's good to be consistent.
Yeah.
Jimon Hyunsun, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Hunsu. He plays a major role in this film.
The wizard. Yeah.
The wizard.
Who gives Shazam his powers.
Yeah, he isn't around for very long, but he does good. Like, and of course, he's in the other Captain Marvel movie. So
that is right, yeah. 2 Captain Marvel movies and have the same actor. That's crazy.
How ironic is that?
Yeah.
Yes, all right. Well, coming up after the break, we are going to give our final thoughts and our IMDb ratings inside the void. You're watching The Real Deal. Stay tuned.
For service or sacrifice. Every day, ordinary Americans perform extraordinary acts of courage and selfless service. Please join us in recognizing citizen heroes who have made a difference in the lives of others through their acts of courage and selfless service in communities across America. Nominate a citizen hero today at themedalofhonor.com.
Are you thinking about buying medicine online? A search for online pharmacies yields more than 20 million results. But which ones can you trust? Medicines bought from unlicensed online pharmacies can be dangerous. You may get a fake drug, your condition may get worse, or you may experience a bad reaction. Don't put your health at risk. To learn how to find an online pharmacy that's safe and legal, visit fda.gov/BeSafeRx. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Here at WTOP, we pride ourselves on delivering you all the news you need to know from the day's events.
Whether it's happened on Capitol Hill or right here in Oswego,
we make sure you know all about it. We keep you up to date on all your favorite
Oswego and professional sports.
And our Storm Team 10 meteorologist will make sure that you know exactly what weather you're up against when you start your day.
Every Monday through Thursday night, make sure to tune in to Channel 10.2, because at WTOP, we don't just tell you the news.
We are
the news.
Welcome back to The Real Deal. We're critiquing Shazam this evening. Gentlemen, do you have anything else to say about Shazam?
Well, I think this is a great step in the right direction for DC, and it's probably my second favorite in the DCU after Wonder Woman, but they're both like kind of interchangeable to me. Like they're both really, really good.
Honestly, in terms of DC films in general, not just the DCEU, well, it's not really the DCEU anymore, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
I would rank this below The Dark Knight, Superman the movie, the first one with Christopher Reeve, Batman Begins, like those are the ones I would rank it below, and then I would put Shazam slightly above Wonder Woman, mainly because I think Shazam is more consistent with what it is. I'm not as bothered by the third act battle in Wonder Woman as others, but when it happens at first, it does feel a bit jarring.
Well, you could say that.
Shazam above Wonder Woman. That's pretty surprising.
Well, yeah, but...
All right. Well, it's time to give our final reviews and our IMDb ratings. So, Nathaniel, you are first into the void.
Shazam is a huge step in the right direction for DC. With great humor, characters, and heart, it stands out from the typical film in the universe. Although the first 15 minutes are really clunky and the villain isn't really that great, everything else is worth the price of admission and serves as an entertaining romp. I give it 8 out of 10 stars.
Shazam is simply fun, charming, poignant, and action-packed. It blends into its comic book universe successfully without throwing it in your face, and similar to Into the Spider-Verse, offers a wonderful message about heroism being inside everyone. 9 out of 10 stars.
Shazam is probably one of the funniest films I've seen this year. I think this picture does a decent job at poking fun at superhero cliches, which makes this a pretty effective satire. There were a few little things in the film I had a problem with, but overall, I left the theater with my expectations exceeded. I give Shazam 7 stars. That's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you follow the show on Twitter at @TheRealDealWTOP and join us next Wednesday for our review of Hellboy. Thank you so much for watching and have a good night.
President Stanley, what's your favorite television station?
I don't know. Hey guys, what do you think?
My family and friends are always with me, no matter where I may be. Sharing stories from home helps me sustain my recovery from my mental and substance use disorder.
Hi, sweetheart.
Join the Voices for Recovery. Our families, our stories, our recovery.
For confidential information on mental and substance use disorders, including prevention and treatment referral for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10 Nightly News.
Total, Baldwin faces 32 charges.
Saturday, I went to Woodchuck Saloon. Too much temperature change.
1310 meteorologist.
2 as well. Visions from Tanner Spink go to 2 and 1. 2 with 6 and 10 on the year.
It's back and better than ever. One student can win up to $25 in cash. All on Oswego's favorite game show, Send to Win! Every Sunday night at 9, only on WTOP 10 TV.